Countdown. 9.
You can hear it, yeah.
7.
2, 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2017 show. I'm your host, Don Kay. We are live from McGilvery Speedway, 30th and High School in the beautiful town of Speedway, Indiana. We're going to remind you folks tonight that those you are here. When the program is over, we're going to have a clip of the upcoming documentary on Grant King. So if you want to see it, it will be projected up here on the big screen. Stick around after the program. Tonight's show, as always, is presented by Honda and Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Verizon IndyCar Series, and the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association. We want to send our best wishes out for those of you who hadn't heard. Bill Marvel was at his church raking leaves, and he's had some kind of a problem of late, and he fell and broke one of the cervix in his back, so he will be wearing a neck brace for 8 months, which I'm sure he's thrilled about that. Here. Hello?
Check 1, 2.
Yeah, the other two are good. I popped it in. There.
Hello?
There you go.
There we go.
Well, I see. The IT guy was messing around. It wasn't me. Next week we have an author night. One of our visitors will be a writer and a broadcaster with MAV TV. He's written some very, very well-acclaimed books. Dave Argerbright and Linda Mansfield will be here. She's a PR gal and has written a series of 4 books that are absolutely outstanding. They're easy read and they're very good. So those are my 2 guests that I've got going, and I am working on another one which will be announced at autosportradio.com under the Autosport Radio Show business. Now, I know everybody's most looked to and can hardly wait doctor's appointment is a dentist. Well, I can make your life much easier by highly recommending to you the
Let's just change off the end. Yeah, I've got a cable also. There you go. Try that.
hello.
Is that better?
I don't know.
That's not better.
If you're having a problem, if you're having a problem and you're not real enamored with going to see a dentist, let me tell you there's a way to circumvent that. The Indy Dental Group, Dr. Jack Miller and his wife, Dr. Liz Lewis, have a fabulous practice. The people are fantastic. Everybody in his office is phenomenal, and they really take care of you. So give them a call. Make an appointment. Number's 317-846-6125. All right, if you don't want this, I'll put it here anyway. For those of you who haven't yet been to the museum to see their latest exhibit, starting the 27th through April 1st, they have the incredible engines of the Indy 500, and they also have 50 years of setting the pace with the Camaros are there. So if you want to see something kind of interesting, I highly recommend that you do that. And if you have computer problems like I have, and I seem to have them quite frequently, more than I get a cold, I recommend you talk to Jack at Computer Overdrive at 5240 Crawfordsville Road. It's east of the PNC Bank at Lyndhurst and Crawfordsville. Their number is 317-328-0766. He'll tell you what your problem is and what it takes to fix it. And since Jingle Bells time is right around the corner, you got somebody who would like to have a drone walk through the computer office and see Mark in the back who has nothing but drones. He knows how they work. He can help you out. You'll love it. Interesting, good guy. We're going to be talking to Bill Throckmorton and his sidekick upcoming, but in the meantime, I want to remind you that the specials at McGilvery's are back. And it's on your table, and if you see one that you like, you're going to be here on a Tuesday, or you're coming some other night, and you're going to be here after lunch, call them up and they'll hold it for you. And I'm going to recommend an appetizer, naan bread. Oh, it's good, and they've got a beer cheese that is out of this world, so try it. My first guest is a gentleman I have had the distinct honor, privilege, and thrill, and not necessarily in that order, of knowing him. When he started his charitable organization and he passed out T-shirts, because I sure as heck wouldn't have bought it, it said on it IKDD, and I said, I'm not real swift, but what in the world is that? I know Dave Dusick. I said, geez, I don't want to advertise that. But he has grown it into an interesting charity. But why is he here on a racing program? Because he has a company called Race Track Engineering. Now, we're going to find out, does he build a track? Does he design? What the heck does he do? We'll find out. But welcome, a good guy and a charitable guy. Please say hello to Mr. Dave Dusick.
Thanks for that stellar introduction, my friend. Luckily, a lot of these people know me, so...
I found that out.
Yeah.
And I said, why did you invite him? Well, he was cheap.
Yeah, somebody called in a favor. I'm going to owe somebody, that's for sure. But always a pleasure. Hey, I want to give you props. The non-smoking thing in here tonight is stellar. I love the non-smoking. So, no, I mean, if you smoke, that's cool. But I really enjoy the fact that I don't have to imbibe. Thank you. Yeah, I'm an engineer. I don't speak very well.
I know that. What is race track engineering?
Well, that's a great question. In this business...
I've got it written down, too.
Oh, yeah, you're good. In this business, yeah, well, basically, my line is if you're willing to pay for it, we'll do it. But essentially, Racetrack Engineering is a technology and operations company. So we do technology for racetracks and race series. So our customers are great people like Mr. Tony back there. But so the Indy cars, the NASCARs, the Indianapolis 500s, they're our customers. We do audio, video, timing and scoring, track safety lights, just about anything that you need to run a racing event. We also provide personnel to do the same thing. So if you want to promote a big event and you don't know where to start, you call us and we can provide the technology, the people, the expertise to help you put on that event.
Well, you said, among others, IndyCar, I understand. You do travel with the series. You said NASCAR. Do you travel with that series too?
We don't. We work with NASCAR when they come to the Motor Speedway, like we work with everybody that comes to the Motor Speedway on both sides. We're responsible for the race control technology in Indianapolis, and then we're also responsible for all the pre-race ceremonies and all the audio as well. But right now we're in race control for Zach's going to help me on this. IMSA, IndyCar, Parella World Challenge, Global Rallycross, Circuit of the Americas, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and a few others that I can't seem to pop off the top of my head. We're working real hard with our friends at Trans Am to try to help them out with some technology as well. So,
do they need help?
No, they're doing a great job over there, but we've got some new technology that's really bringing officiating into the 21st century, and it's something that everybody really enjoys when they get to use it. So we've been working with John over there, and we're really excited about that. That's our mission is, I started at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the engineering department, and when I started my business, I realized that the Indianapolis Motor Speedway has all this technology and all this knowledge and all this information up here, and the rest of the industry doesn't have any of that. They don't have access to it. They don't understand it. And so when I started the business, the whole idea was to take the things that we learn from Indianapolis and pass them down to everybody else in the sport. And everybody immediately says, well, we don't have the money that Indy has. Well, it's not always about money. Sometimes it's just about knowledge. And that's really what our expertise is it's not about me. It's about all the people that support us, and we take intelligent people that have knowledge and experience, and we look at your problem, and then we figure out how to solve it.
No, I don't want to. I hope this isn't a surprise to you.
I sound like a sales pitch. I'm so sorry.
No,
Let's not do that again.
No, you're not. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Tony was in the communications business very successfully, and he doesn't know how to communicate to the fans. I find that hard to believe. That's not true, is it? Do you travel with the SVRA series?
No, we've had the pleasure of working with those guys at Indianapolis for, is it the last 3 years, Tony? Is that right?
Yeah.
3 years, and then 2 whole weeks last year. And like I said, we've done a couple demos and done some work with John down at the Trans Am series, which Tony's a big part of now. And we're really focused on those types of series. What I call the mid-level, the one step down from from the IndyCar and the NASCAR, because IndyCar and NASCAR have the budgets. We have what is nominally $1 million replay system at IndyCar. Well, nobody can afford $1 million replay system, so we try to figure out how to get video officiating and make it affordable to everybody else. And unfortunately, we've been able to find some technology, and we've got good people like Racetrack Zach. Of course, Katie's here; she runs my life. But between our people and our equipment, we're able to take that.
Hold it.
What's that?
She runs your life?
Yeah, she runs my life.
Is that your
You should
boss?
talk to her, not to me.
Is that the boss?
She is the boss.
Does
Yes.
she work for Racetrack Engineering?
She runs Racetrack Engineering.
What the
My
hell?
voicemail says, call Katie. Yeah, you heard that. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I don't mean to sound like a sales pitch. These fine folks are race fans. Let's talk about some fun stuff.
Well, I don't know any fun stuff other than to ask you questions. That's what I got you here, is to ask you questions. Now,
Copy that. So the fun's on me.
You do, you're involved in the sound and so forth that goes on when they have, press conferences and so forth and so on. And you are pretty much heavily into the Mazda Road to Indy program. Now, with all the other series you deal with, I got to think that at some point in time people have said, it can't be done. That's just a joke, the ladder system. What do you say to that?
Oh,
there's ladies here, so be careful.
Copy that. I'm working on. I'm getting old, so I'm learning how to clean myself
No,
up.
you're not, but
Yeah, well, that's a good point. That's relative. No, man, I'm a big proponent of the Mazda Road to Indy. They're a great partner of ours. I tell people all the time that I personally think that what John Doonan at Mazda, Chris Pantani at Cooper Tire, and Dan Anderson at Anderson Promotions, what they're doing right now, there's nobody else in the world doing what they're doing. They've got a program that you can essentially win your way into a go-kart like shootout, right? And correct me if I get this wrong, Racetrack Zach, but you win your way into a shootout, and then you can win your way into an F2000 car. You can scholarship your way into a Pro Mazda car. You can scholarship your way into an Indy Lights car. And I'm not talking like partial scholarship. This is a full season. You run the Soul Red Mazda colors, and you race the whole season. And then if you win the Indy Lights Championship, you get a minimum of 3 races, including the Indianapolis 500. And you started theoretically in karts. I mean, it's just there's nothing else. There's nothing like it in the world. It's really remarkable, and it's all because of the vision of Dan Anderson. But really, Mazda is such a huge partner, and Chris Pantani and Cooper Tire, they've really stepped up to support the program, and it's what everybody says we needed for all these years, and we finally have it.
It's the success they've had. For anybody to say, well, it's really not that. The heck, it's not. There's a kid that just signed, I think, full-time for next year, 2018, that won the Indy Lights championship. His name is Spencer Piggott. Now, he stuck around and ran a couple of races after he won the championship, but now Mazda stepped up the program, and he has now earned himself a full ride with Ed Carpenter for a full season. And he's not the only one. There's quite a number. Kyle Kaiser is moving up. There's been a bunch of guys and gals. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, right now as the go-kart shootout is going on, they've got drivers from 9 countries that are here to participate, try and get a shot at the USF 2000.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're at Firebird this week in Arizona. But, it's remarkable. And Jason Penix, who's the Road to Indy liaison for the IndyCar series, he could tell you. But I believe the number last year at the 500 was like 24, 25 of the 33 starters had been through the Mazda Road to Indy. Like, that's in itself. That says, hey, this is, and now they get to show themselves off during the Indianapolis Grand Prix, and then also, the Carb Day, the lights race, has been the best race of the weekend for, 4-wide finish a couple of years ago. So it's really neat. It's a neat platform.
I think they had 3 races in a row that were won by the closest in the history of the Speedway. So it's quite interesting. How did you get into sound? I mean, you don't sing. Do you sing?
No.
Well, how did you get into sound?
Not well at all. Because the last time I was on your show, you asked me a question. You actually ask really good questions, just so you know. You're good at this. You should have a show or something. The last time I was on your show, you asked me a question. You said, you do all sorts of crazy things. How in the world do you do those things? And my honest, candid answer to you off the cuff was because I guess I always say yes. When my phone rings, I say yes. And Katie will... Well, technically now I never answer my phone. I tell them to call Katie, but then Katie calls me and I tell Katie yes.
I called you and you answered.
I know.
That was a mistake,
Because
though.
I
You
respect
didn't realize.
you.
You
I know.
didn't realize
I was
who
at
it
the
was.
pool too. I was in Florida at the pool, and I answered the phone for you. No, we it's when I was an intern at Indianapolis, I was 19, I believe. I won't tell the year, but I decided that I thought we needed video boards. And so I went to Kevin Forbes, the great Kevin Forbes, who was my boss at the time, and said, hey, I think we need video boards. And he said, Dave, that's a great idea. Why don't you go figure out how to make that happen? And so I went off and did a bunch of research. Long story short, as you all know, we were one of the first to put in. We put in the 18 video boards back in 97, 98, 99 timeframe. And so later, they came to me and said, well, you did video. Can you do audio? And I was young and dumb, and I said, absolutely, we can do audio. And the rest, as they say, is history. So
you went to Radio Shack, bought a couple microphones and an amplifier.
yeah, it's exactly that's about where we are. And now we're thrilled. Zach, I'm gonna need your help with this again. Racetrack Zach knows everything about our business. Obviously, we do pre-race for the Indy 500, which is so cool. All you guys I know are Indy fans. I know that we've had a lot of change in the last several years, and I get that guys like Jim you can't replace. But are you a fan of the modern day pre-race ceremony with the multiple stages and the God Bless America and the taps from the flag stand? I mean, are you liking the pre-race ceremonies? Okay. Thank you for lying. I know I got some nods over there. Those are the people that know me, so at least they're telling me the truth. But for those of you who lied to me, I appreciate you saying yes. But we're proud of the pre-race show at Indy. It's really come a long way, and I think it. I think they're continuing to try to make that better.
I sent a suggestion today to Doug, Mark, and CJ, I think.
Okay.
And I said, in honor, because somebody set out something, they're going to do something for Jim Neighbors. And I said, I think the perfect thing to do would put up on the boards his last appearance and show it.
And show it with yeah, just show the appearance.
His
I agree
last
with that.
appearance. Put it on the
agree
screens
with
and
that.
everybody could see it and hear it.
Yep.
And realize that's the guy that did it for 35 years. He's no longer here, but what a fabulous job. What a part of this place he became.
It's truly, there's a picture, I don't know if you saw it, that I made my Facebook profile picture this week. It's me and Jim Neighbors and Tom Carnegie, and it's from 2010. And those two guys are just, they're icons. I mean, Tom, to this day, I can remember, my favorite thing of all the things he said in his entire life was, hello, David. Like, he just, the way he said my name, it gave me cold chills. I love that guy. But Jim was the same way. He was just larger than life, and he really made that place special. And it's really tough because we're in a different age today, right? Like, it's really hard to find people like that. I do think Jim Corneliuson, who's doing it now, I think is amazing. I think he's got the personality, the respect, the love. So I think he's you're never going to replace Jim, but I think he's a good next step as we move forward because unfortunately we continue to have to do that, But I'm with you. I think it'd be really neat if we played Jim. There was a video that the Speedway put out that was a tribute to him, and I cried through it. It was just remarkable.
Yeah, and the neat thing and why I like what I do is every year I get to sit down and talk to him briefly because he was always mod, but he would take the time to sit down and we'd chat a little bit. And he especially liked me because I said, my son lives and works over in Hawaii. Really? Where? Kauai. Oh, yeah, well. So that was my connection. I used my kid to get friendly with him. It worked, too.
I'm going to stay away from that
I would
comment
too.
entirely.
I want to welcome some people that are here tonight if we can take a quick break. First off, the gentleman that used to be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway now works at the Indianapolis Airport, so if you're on a plane and it's bumpy, it's his fault. Big Dave is here. Dave is here.
Don't give that guy a microphone. Do not order me a SoCo with lime.
And sitting over in a corner by himself, come in with a cane, wanting a little sympathy. The guy that's got Noggle's dirty goggles, John Noggle, is here. And one of the great guys in all of motorsports, and at the age of 62, he's still going 90 miles an hour. John Martin is here with his lovely bride, Linda. All right, now.
Do I get to do some shout-outs, too? Can I do some shout-outs?
You already got a good-looking
I got
lady
my,
you mentioned.
but they're my fan club, but I pay them all. Well, not Emily. She just supports Katie because Katie needs it. Racetrack Zach is awesome. Of course, you got Dave Brown back there, who's
Who?
just
he's
Dave
eating.
Brown's
Don't
back
bother.
there.
He'll
You got
spill his food.
You got old Billy Throckmorton. I remember the night Billy Throckmorton hung himself upside down at IRP on Thursday Night Thunder. Do you remember that?
Who cut him down?
I don't remember that part.
He probably is dead.
He always has beautiful race cars, though. The red number 22s are always beautiful.
All right,
Anyway.
let's get down to the serious business.
Yes,
when
sir.
I got the first T-shirt, you had a charitable event, and I can't remember. It seemed to me it was over by underneath the railroad tracks, over by the Union Station, I think, is where the first one, I think. I can't remember. But you have a charity that you have put together that 100% of everything raised goes to the Riley's Children's Hospital. Why? What made you start it? Why did you start it? And what are you doing this year?
Well, because I look funny because I got ran over by a Mack truck, so I decided to give money to Riley Children's Hospital. Sorry, that's supposed to be a joke, and nobody laughs at it. If you know me, you laugh at that joke. I have a great story that's not appropriate to tell on the air, but remind me later. Give me a couple drinks. No SoCo with lime, Shaw. And I'll tell that story. No, obviously, I'm a 30-year cancer survivor. Oh, my goodness. More than that. Pushing 40-year cancer survivor. I was diagnosed at 13 months with an incurable cancer. And the great folks at Riley Hospital, my pediatrician, my mother, most people would say some divine intervention. We were able to beat this incurable cancer. And so I spent most of my life, being grateful to be me and figuring out how to be me. And I have a buddy, the great Joe Whistler, if anybody wears henchman uniforms. Joe and Nance run henchmen. He showed up at a bar one night with a T-shirt that said, "I know Dave Dusick." And I'm pretty sure I know what the intent was. He was trying to swing in on some of the pretty ladies I probably had with me. And actually, if you look at the pictures from that night, I think it was successful. But anyway,
For you or him?
So we're moving on to the story. Oh, wow. Can we start over?
Tell me about your charity.
Well, okay, so anyway, long story short, Whistler shows up with a T-shirt. People go nuts, and they want these T-shirts. Because I just want to point out that I'm not quite arrogant enough to make a T-shirt with my own name on it. Somebody else did that the first time. And then, long story short, all these people wanted these T-shirts. And so we decided we had to do something productive with it, and we would give the money to Riley. A couple years later, the late, great Andy Granatelli came on board, and Andy was such a huge inspiration to me. And really, Andy didn't do anything half-assed. That guy was amazing.
Yeah.
So he got on board, pushed us along, and now we have a full-blown not-for-profit. And we've done 4 or 5 events, but now this is the 3rd annual Racers No Dave Dusick party. 50,000 of my closest friends are in town for the PRI show this week, so we decided we'd get together and do something. And it's just, there's a million charities out there, and everybody's always asking for money, but for me, I don't want it to be about that. I want it to be about having a good time, because everybody knows I like to have a good time. But I want to have a good time and do something productive with it, right? And so that's what the Racers No Dave Dusick party is. This year it's going to be it's Thursday night at PRI every year. It's at a new venue called the National, which is at 38th in Delaware, a really cool old bank. That's just awesome. And Laura Cooper from Cooper Events has come on board. She used to work with GRC and Andretti, great lady, and she's promoted this thing like you wouldn't believe. So it's going to be awesome. Anybody know the Mac Daddy's David Hunt? David Hunt's a spotter in the Indy Lights series and also in the IndyCar series. The Mac Daddies are playing Thursday night after we get done with all of our auctions and all that. So super stoked about it. It's going to be a good time.
How does one find out about it and buy a ticket to get in, or just go to the door?
Well, I would say go to the door, except we are nearing capacity and we're still 2 days out. So if you want a ticket for sure, I know DaveDusick.com or DaveDusickFoundation.org. And there's plenty of links. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Cooper Tire. They came on board as a presenting sponsor this year, and they've been a huge supporter of ours, of this effort. So between Laura Cooper and Cooper Tires, and then we've got Race Monitor, those folks at Race Monitor, all of you have Race Monitor in your pocket when you go to the short tracks, and iBox Springs, and Bell Helmets too. So great support. Really excited about it.
How much have you donated over the year to Riley? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, it's with the help of Andy Granatelli, it's probably in the $150,000 range. over the last. We've been doing this since 2009. That's when your first T-shirt came about, and so we're grateful. And it's tough because there's a lot of people that raise money for Riley, but I look at it like all it takes is $1, right? Whether it's cancer research or whether it's for the hospital. The right dollar in the right person's hands can save somebody's life, somebody just like me, and so that's why we do it. It's really neat for me to think that there's somebody out there struggling right now, just like my parents were 40 years ago, and that we're able to try to help them. So I'm obviously it's near and dear to my heart, and I'm grateful to the racing community because the support we get is just overwhelming. I'm just really truly overwhelmed at the idiots like you that buy T-shirts with my name on them. I'm truly grateful. It's for a good cause, but I'm still grateful. So, I said I'm grateful.
Would somebody explain to me why I invited somebody that's going to call me an idiot? I already know that. You didn't have to tell me.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
Oh boy. Well, listen. I give the web address one more time in case somebody said, what was that? And you can watch the archive and see it, but tell them anyway.
Yep, and we also, my great racetrack Zach and Katie and Emily over there have flyers. If you are interested Thursday night, I know DaveDusick.com. Dusick is D-U-S-I-C-K. And even if you can't make it Thursday night, we encourage you to check it out. I'm really proud of all the people in my life and the people that get together in the racing community, especially to do something positive. I guess we can announce this, and if I believe it's been announced, but Doug Bowles is going to be our keynote speaker.
Who?
Yeah, right. Our buddy Doug, and then Alex Rossi is going to come hang out with us, and I believe Max Pappas is going to be there, and so a lot of our friends are going to come by and hang out. So it should be a good time.
Do you really know some racers?
Only 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got me beat by one, so.
Yeah.
By the
copy
way, that
that
racetrack monitor you said that you can use,
Yeah.
Does it work in one of these?
No,
Oh.
Listen, I sent you some emojis to that, and I was curious whether or not you got them. Because I didn't get the response back from the emoji I sent that I expected, so I figured you didn't get. You know what an emoji is?
I know what an emoji is, but I usually take a shower and I get a shot to get rid of them, basically. But if you stick around to see Bill's video, I'll show you what I got. Oh, jeez. Anyway,
Copy that.
I thank you for your time. It'll teach you this time to answer your phone again.
Yes, sir.
And if you forward me to her, I'll chew her. So get him on the phone now.
Yeah, you would rather talk to her than me anyway, let's be honest. You should
rather
let
me.
her tell stories about me. That would be more entertaining for all these
No,
fine
because
folks.
there's ladies here and we can't
Yeah,
really
good
mix
point.
company. Well, she wouldn't tell them anyway. She's a lady.
At my expense, she might risk her. Yeah. Hey, thank you for what you do. I tell you this every time I'm here. Last time it was with the great David Bird, and we were talking about the Chasing 200 tour, and so it's. I think that it's really cool what you do for our sport. I know the Road to Indy guys are really proud and thankful for the amount that you promote them. So thank you for that.
Well, I enjoy it. I want people to know who they are.
Copy that.
When they move up, they bring, the old days, long before your time, when I started, the Foyts and the Unsers and Gordy Johncock and Tom Stevens all came from the short tracks. And when they moved, as Brian Clausen did, when they moved up, the fans followed them. Now they don't. It doesn't happen because they come from a country they don't speak English anyway, a lot of them. So I think, following the Mazda Road to Indy program, they can essentially do the same thing, follow them. You don't have to leave and go to a dirt track. You can watch them on race morning.
That's exactly right. There are some really great personalities and good people in the Mazda Road to Indy.
They're great.
And you get to know them when they're young kids, and you see their story, you see their progress. A kid like Spencer Piggott, like you said, you start to see this kid when he's just a young kid with nothing, and now he's racing full-time in the IndyCar series, and it's just cool to see. You got a story behind the name,
If I'm not mistaken, the 2017 IndyCar champion came through the Mazda Road. What's his name? Joseph Newgarden?
Oh, Mr. Robopone Jr. Yeah.
All
Hey,
right.
thank you again, bud. I
Thanks for
appreciate
your
it
time, and good luck this Thursday. And if I stay awake late enough, I'll stop by.
We'd love to have you. Well, Katie, can you make sure he's on the despite what I told you earlier, can you make sure he's on the list? Thanks.
Is that an S list? I won't say what the S is. Thank you, Mr. Dave Dusick. I want to mention that Sam Pierce Chevrolet is in Daleville, Indiana, which is north of here. It is in the country. And if you want to find the best prices in the country, you got to go to Daleville to see Sam. And you will find out why when he sells you a car, he doesn't stand behind you, he stands alongside you. Just take I-69 north to exit 35, go east 1 mile, and you won't miss him. Sam Pierce Chevrolet. And the Indy Racing Experience, the home of the most exciting race car ride in America. You'll find out why these guys and gals love taking it, doing the sport and driving these cars and taking the thrill of going the speeds they go with somebody right next to them. It's really kind of neat, and you'll get the same feeling. If you want to sign up for a ride, you can go to IndyRacingExperience.com, check the website, find out when they're going to be where you can get to, and then call 317-243-7171, ask for Shonda. Or you can sign up, and in the promo box, put SJ1. You get a 50% discount at the Speedway. It's a great experience, a lot of fun, and a lot of people have taken it and went, wow, it's exciting. Now, vintage racing. It is growing rapidly. Sponsors are coming in, new drivers are coming in, new everything is coming. Go to the SVRA.com and sign up for the Vintage Racing Quarterly. I've been telling you, you got to get the Trans Am magazine. They've only had one issue as a test. They're working on it. Pam will have it together in no time, probably next week. But the Vintage Racing Quarterly, the cars that you knew as a kid, a lot of them are running. Find out where they are, and who's got them. Is it time for insurance for your home or your car or your commercial building? Do what I did. Call Mike Pardee at VP Insurance, located at 5004 West 16th Street in the beautiful town of Speedway. Have him give you a quote. You'll be surprised, like a lot of us, myself included. You get better coverage for less money. You can give him a call. This number is 317-248-0070. That's VP Insurance, Mike Pardee, 317-248-0070. My next guest is a gentleman that I have met about 4 or 5 years ago and have found absolutely phenomenal. He has had an enormously successful career in communication, which is probably why he can talk so well. And by the way, I love the phone you had. You said nobody ever told you I love your phone. I love it. I loved it. He is the president and CEO of the Vintage Racing Association, Vintage Car Racing Association, SVRA, Sports Car Vintage Race. It's one of them, I can assure you. They are coming to Indianapolis again this year, and with them will be the new Trans Am Series, which this gentleman bought controlling interest in. We're going to find out all about that and what's new and exciting with SVRA. Please welcome the man in charge himself, Mr. Tony Parella. How many years did you have to suffer in the business world before you got to what you really want to do, racing? Full time.
I was in telecommunications for 30 years.
Is that all?
And prior to that, I started when I was 6. And prior to that, I spent 6 years selling copying machines. I used to compete against Xerox.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you win?
Somehow enough to feed my family, but not a whole hell of a lot better than that.
Now, I noticed in your bio, which I put on a website and on Facebook and everywhere else, you sold a company that you bought, and you sold it to, of all people, Aero Electronics, who strangely enough is in IndyCar racing. Yeah. Did you have anything to do with swaying them in that direction? Did they follow you, or did you talk about racing and they said, hey, this is good?
No, it's funny. My last company in telecommunications was called Shared Technologies, and we, in simple terms, fix people's phone systems at a very high level. So companies like Bank of New York or huge Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies, my team would go in and fix their phone systems. And Aero Electronics acquired my company 7 years ago now. And so I met them. They wanted me to stay. I lasted 2 weeks. So my career...
What, you don't get along with people?
I just have a hard time working for somebody. I don't take direction well.
So you didn't like what Trans Am was doing, so you bought controlling interest. Now you're the man that can talk.
No, I think Trans Am has so much potential to be a big deal. I made a minority investment a year ago because they had them on several of my race weekends. And the more I got involved with Trans Am and the more I could see the potential. So this past year, we brought Trans Am as part of the Brickyard Invitational for the first time in 51-year history that the Trans Am raced at Indy. And I'll tell you, they really, first of all, the racers had a ball. You know, anytime they come to Indy, it's a big deal. And I think the fans really enjoyed it. They can relate. Everybody knows what a Camaro, a Mustang, or a Corvette is. And so there's still a younger demographic that can appreciate the muscle car era that we're involved with today. And I think they complement each other. I got a lot of SVRA racers crossing into Trans Am, and I got some of the older dog of Trans Am crossing into vintage racing. So it's kind of, they're helping each other along the way, and it just gives us another demographic to reach and sell sponsorship to.
You know, the interesting thing that, to me is that you're able to bring some of the guys that we knew early on, get them to come to the events, to participate, to drive the cars, like a gentleman by the name of John Martin, who not only drives the cars, but when he gets in the car and says, holy crap, can fix it. And can fix the suspension and make it run. And he was telling me at COTA, he took 4 cars, and when he got done adjusting, I think 3 of them won.
Well, it's really, the Pro-Am has really taken on a life of its own. And it's spread beyond here. If you know, initially when we did the first year of the Pro-Am, we really didn't know what the right recipe would be. John was there from the first year, and we paired up a former Indy legend who raced in the 500 with an amateur in a Camaro, Mustang, or Corvette from the mid-'60s to early '70s. And the first year we had 20-something drivers, and it took off, and we've been able to field 33, actually 34. We have an honorary NASCAR guy come in just for fun, Bill Elliott. But it's really taken on a life of its own, and at COTA this past November, there were several of the guys who raced with us over the past 4 years down there competing, and John was there racing in an Enduro with one of the guys he raced with here. Jeff Brabham was down there. Little Al was down. Willie was down. So it's really cool how so many of these legends are now involved. Me personally, my co-driver was Al Unser. You talk about pressure. A 4-time winner. And I'm running around Indy with him in a rent-a-car showing him the marks on the road course, and because he had never been on the road course. So it really was an experience to be able to say I ran with Al, that's for sure.
Are the spectators growing? Is the word getting out that, hey, this is cool? I mean, you can see these guys and gals that used to do.
We as a company are learning how to promote a race with modest budgets. You know, you won't, this past event at COTA I mentioned, I did my first formal TV commercials to sell tickets. It's taken me 5 years to figure out how to do that where it financially makes sense, and it really worked. We had a monster gate at COTA. This market, the challenge I have here is we follow the 500 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, and let's face it, there's only so much spend to go around. But I think we attract a different type of race fan that necessarily comes to the 500. I think the 500 is certainly about racing, but it's also about the experience of the 500. My deal is a little bit different. It's a little lower key, more access. You're not assigned to a seat. You roam the whole place. You get up close to the legends of yesterday, and we're learning how to get that message out. Every year over year, we seem to be getting a little stronger here, but my gate as a company is up exponentially. This place is a little bit harder to market in a big way, but when I own the gate completely and promote it, we're getting smarter and smarter at it.
Funny thing. That doesn't surprise me, because during your entire career, if you read it, you got smarter every time you made a move. You learned something and went. Most
of the time, not all of the time. I think like anything, I I had a passion for racing, but I didn't have racing business experience. I was a racer as a young kid. My dad had a sign before I had a formal driver license. I was racing cars in upstate New York. So I've always loved racing, but life got in the way, and I had to get a real job, and didn't get to chase my passion until very late in life. And so to apply the lessons learned over a 30-plus year career on something I truly love, that combo is really starting to pay off. And, it's taken me 5 years to really, we now have a 14-event season, and it's the who's who of tracks in the United States. I mean, I'll put our schedule against any road racing schedule that's in this country. We just added Road Atlanta was one in the East that I really wanted to add. And, so the schedule is very robust. We're always looking for race, but our recipe is more of a festival than just a race. When you come to one of my events, you don't know if you're going to see a concert, you don't know if you're going to see a car auction, you don't know if you're going to see fireworks, you don't know if you're going to be involved driving a brand new Jaguar or a motorcycle. God only knows, but we always are stirring it up because I think that's important. I think people are tired of the same old recipe. And so we constantly look for better ways to do it. We price it very cost effective, and we try to add as much fun to it as we can.
And I have to say, for those of you who don't get or haven't yet subscribed because you're dumb, the Vintage Racing Quarterly, there's some copies up here. Help yourself. And the editor of that is a young lady, Pam, sitting there. And I don't know how you conned her into coming to work for you, because she should have stayed where she was. But she put together, that's a heck of a magazine. I mean, some great stories about drivers that everybody here would know, cars that were brought out of the dust and now they're running.
Well, it's funny. Pam was working in the industry at a competitive magazine, and we wanted to build something unique to this sport that is as much a lifestyle magazine as it is about vintage racing. And it's hard to believe, but she does that magazine. She's one employee for the whole magazine. We outsource the printing and typesetting, but she's a band of one. In her spare time, she puts out 9 event programs.
You don't set the type? What the heck? Jeez Louise. You're giving her a day off, you don't have to set type. That's pretty good.
My whole team, we have a very close-knit team, but if you look at the direct reports, I'm really blessed of who we've put together as a team. From the second you go in as a driver to register with Kim and what she's done with her staff, Alex running race operations is the best in the business. Rick running tech. I mean, what a thankless job that is. Tech 500 cars and try to find the guys who aren't playing by the rules. Pam with the magazine. I mean, the whole group, my IT guy, Ben, Kathy back in Dallas, who answers the phone for virtually everybody, they all get it. They really take a lot of pride in the customer experience, whether you're a racer or a fan or what have you. You go on my website, you read fan mail, it's unbelievable how many letters and emails I get on it. We're a mighty staff of 7, counting me, to run 15 events a year to the scale we do is really, but we're a cookie cutter in our approach to process, but we're anything but cookie cutter in our approach to people.
I got to think that in your 30-year, young boy that you are, career, that you learned how to deal with people, what they want, and how to get the most out of them. Because I've told you this before, and I've told anybody who's ever asked, you won't find a better group of people. If you've got a problem, I've sat at one, I think the first year you were here, I felt sorry for Kim. These guys were coming up complaining about everything that had nothing to do with the sun coming up or going down. I mean, they had complaints, and she smiled and took care of everything, and when they left, they were happy. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, I'd have smacked him right in the beak. But she smiled and got it taken care of. As all of your people have done. I've gone to your tech guy and asked a question, stupid one, because I didn't know. And he answered me. I assume I was right. I didn't know what the answer meant anyway, but didn't get an argument. I mean, your people really are top shelf, and I can understand why, you have to restrict the number of cars at events if people want to get there, because it's a good show, it's a good time, it's good competition, and you take care of them.
We really try to. The culture that we have really stems from my upbringing. My dad's mantra was, if you take care of the company will take care of you. That was pounded into my head as a young boy. And when I got out to the work world, that wasn't what I saw. The leaders that I worked for in the work world in telecommunication in my early days really didn't necessarily subscribe to that. They had their policy manual, and by God, they were going to follow it. So when I finally got the chance to run a company the way I think it should be run, we have a manual, and the first thing I teach to my leaders is throw the damn thing away when it's appropriate to. Because inevitably, it's something as simple as, how many days off you got. Right? Every company, you got to document that because the lawyers tell you have to be consistent. Well, I call bullshit on that. Can I say bullshit? Yeah. I call bullshit on that because think about it this way. Inevitably, you got a person who's working, breaking their neck to keep the customer happy, keep them focused, do what's right for the business but right for the customer. And suddenly they got a crisis at home. Somewhere in your career, mom's going to get sick, dad's going to get sick, a child's going to get sick. That the book that says you get 2 weeks of paid vacation and X amount of personal days doesn't get it done for family crisis. So you can dock them their pay, or you can say, we don't really have a book. Go do what you need to do. Team, rally around them and figure out a way to keep the momentum going. And I taught that at my last company. And that was one of the core values that we had at Share Technologies, which went on to become a top 100 company on Fortune's best place to work in America. 4 years in a row, it made the top 100. It was, when I bought it, it was in bankruptcy. So it went from just a dysfunctional, retarded, horrible culture to one of the best in the United States. And we're laying that foundation here. With 7 people, I had that company had 1,700 people when we bought it, and it went on well beyond that. My other companies had as many as 8,000, but this 7, it's a little bit different to move the scale, but I can tell you the principles are the same. It doesn't change, but it takes a certain select group of people to buy into that. In my last company, I had leaders when I first bought it that smiled and said they bought into it, and then their actions didn't meet them. Well, I fired them because that is a critical component to push somebody hard enough to make a magazine by themselves and have it come out like a clock and be on time and do what we say we're going to do without the normal staff of 80 that it takes to do one of those.
And as a result of how come to think of it, you're one of the few guys I know, a CEO of a company that can sign the checks, because there's only 7 with you.
Yeah.
So you can sign the checks. How about most of the other companies, you didn't even see them, let alone sign them.
No, I saw a cash statement every day.
Yeah.
The other side of that coin is to make sure that you don't wreck a company if they're going to follow you, that they know that you got their back. True story, in my last company, we were the largest Nortel distributor in the world. We were selling at the time $30 million in Nortel equipment a month. So think about a month. That's how big we were. And Nortel, a $14 billion company at the time, even though I followed their financials like a clock, went bankrupt. They just were horribly, 100-year-old company, they crashed it. And the day that was announced, I went from $30 million a month in sales to about $6 a month in sales. So you can't, on a dime, you can't plan for that. So conventional wisdom in corporate America is, let's shoot the bottom 15% of the company and not worry about it, business as usual. Just cut enough expense. I don't want to do that. If you're a best company, you got to act like one. So I went right down the food chain. If you were a single contributor making less than $50,000 a year, you weren't affected. If you were a manager of people, 10% of your pay was taken away, no bonus. A director, 15%, a VP, 20%, and C-level, 40%, and no bonus. And CEO, no paycheck. We did that but the trade-off was nobody lost their job. Not one person got laid off through that whole debacle. Nortel came out of bankruptcy, Avaya bought them. We became the largest Avaya dealer in the world. And we lived to fight another day, and nobody lost their job. We actually grew in that from a service business. But the respect that I got from the worker bees, I got letters thanking me for cutting their pay, which is a little bit bizarre. That was humbling, but they got the message that, there's a balance of getting it right. And I think we did that most of the time.
Now, also, it seems to me, because of your organization, how well it's run and how well you're doing, when you read your website, you got a boatload, and in the magazine, you got a boatload of sponsors. In fact, you came from a meeting and you weren't sure you were going to make it here today, meeting with another sponsor. Are you finding that a new tie? They gave you a tie. Oh, that's nice.
First time I've had the corporate costume on in a long time, I can tell you. I had to try 3 times to get the damn knot straight.
Now, see, she wasn't setting type, so she could have fixed it for you.
You know what? To make this work to the scale I want to make it work, the business always called for sponsorship. And I think in this day and age, especially in motorsports, you have to show some kind of return on investment for the sponsors. Then it's really not selling. It's pretty much a marketing program. And so, as an example, if you take Jaguar and Land Rover, if you came out here in June, there were over 1,600 people did test drives in one or the other in a period of 4 days. Well, let me tell you, they've been with me 4 years. They'll be back next year. We did over 12,000 test drives this past season. That's more than their dealership network does in the United States. So it's not hard to justify. They help us. Trust me, they help us. But we help them. So that's one example of, NetJets and Harley Davidson and Hoosier Tire, Sunoco Fuel. It's easy to justify the race-related ones when you do over 4,000 entries. But when you look at the luxury brands that are coming in, because of who races with us, it makes a lot of sense.
And I got to think, that this is probably going to sound brilliant. I bet they're selling some vehicles out of this somewhere along the way.
I can't tell you the number, but trust me, it makes sense for them to be associated with us.
All right, I'm going to take a stab. More than 3.
Way more than 3.
When are you due here this year, and what is your program? Last year, or this year, actually, you were here twice, 2 weekends. Next year, in 2018, you're here for 1 weekend. What are the events going to be? Trans Am will be here.
Trans Am will be here. We will do the Pro-Am again. The scale will be somewhere around 500 cars total. That recipe for here works well. If you do more than that, the racing quality diminishes because it's too crowded out there. Jaguar will be back, Land Rover will be back. We really are really focused on bringing the quality of cars that we think we can drag and the quality of drivers. The Pro-Am is really taking on a life of its own. They call me now. It's really kind of cool. The first year I had such a hard time explaining what the hell we were trying to do, but the word is spread. And the awareness of the Pro-Am has become a big deal. And, when these guys, they strap the helmet on, they get pretty serious out there and have some fun. It's humbling for me. I hold the drivers' meeting, and it's humbling. I try to be pretty direct with these. I am very direct with these guys, and I think it goes pretty. What do you think, John? I mean, I come down pretty hard on them, but I show video. You got all the technology in the world over there, so I can show when they do something I'm not real proud of. I can kind of show them on the screen and a little peer pressure. But again, I mean, think about, as a weekend warrior kid who wanted to race at Indy, 40 plus years later, I got to share a car with Al Unser at Indianapolis Motors. I mean, that's like, are you kidding me? I still can't believe that happened. So this place is special. There's no doubt about that.
I've lived here almost 30 years. I moved here from Florida, and I came without a snow shovel, which wasn't real smart. But I still get tingly when I go past it, and I can get in. I can go into them. I get tingly every time I go by this place. There's something about this place. I don't know what it is, but it's phenomenal. We're looking forward to you being back here. I appreciate you taking the time and bringing your publisher, your editor, your paper folder, and everything else except typesetter. We're going to discuss that.
It's always a privilege to be here. Thanks for having me on.
And you're in town for the PRI show. What does the SVRA do at the PRI show?
My role at PRI is to meet with as many potential sponsors as possible. Pam and my team will be here answering questions for potential drivers. Now with Trans Am, that doubles down my workload on the sponsorship trail. But we're running contrarian to what the rest of motorsports is. We're growing at a crazy pace. We're doing very, very well. I'm thankful for that. But it's you don't get to mail it in. You got to go to work every day. That's for sure. It's not for the faint of heart. If you don't want to work, don't go into racing. I wouldn't advise it.
Well, I find it interesting that so many times you hear, well, we're having trouble selling and then I look at what you do. I thought, he ain't having trouble. Do you have people calling you wanting to get involved, or do you have to go out and knock on doors?
I do both. When I sell, I try to see somebody who would really benefit by being associated with us, like the Jaguar thing is, or Sunoco Fuel is, or Hoosier Tires. I mean, when you got 4,000 racers in a period of year, they sell a lot of gas and a lot of tires, so that makes sense. But there's, there are so many. We should have a tool company. We should. I could spend 2 hours telling you what we should add that they would do really well. It's just getting the scale and time to go get them. But when we tell our story, and we present our program and the magazine and the video, I mean, what we do with our, we do over 5 million views on Facebook alone. Over 5 million. That's a huge number on just watching our videos, and we stick a sponsor logo on there. So the end game for us is we need to figure out how to fund television on a national scale. That's the next step for me. When I do that, the awareness of all of SVRA rises. People will come out, they'll see the tickets are very affordable, and we'll fill the stands. And it's, doing it on just word of mouth, I'm not going to live long enough to get to the scale I want. So I need to pick up the pace a little bit.
I trust when you come here in June that Willie T will be on board.
Oh, yeah, Willie will be back.
Well, I don't want to talk to him.
Okay.
I want to talk to Theo.
I can arrange that.
I know you can.
I can help you there.
I know that.
He's such a good. He just won a huge deal.
That's why I want him.
Yeah,
he won a national championship.
I promise you,
in
Willie.
shooting.
Willie
I
will
already
be here, and
talked to him.
Theo always comes. So if I'll bring him by. That'd be great.
Oh, I know. I've already talked to Theo and said, I want you. Leave your dad at home. I don't care. But I want. He won. His son won a shooting contest against over 3,000 people, guys, gals, whatever, and he won it. He's a national champion. He does well in Europe and everywhere. Otherwise, Willie couldn't go with him. The kid's got to make money, or Willie has to stay home.
He's SVRA sponsors Theo. We try to help him out a little bit here and there to connect the dots. And this deal he just won is it's big. It's big time.
Yeah.
I'm really proud. He's such a good kid too.
Yeah, he really is.
Really nice young man.
And he said, and Willie said, it's essentially the Super Bowl of shooting.
That's a great way. That's a great way to put it.
Thanks for stopping by. Always a pleasure to have you. Look forward to seeing you before your June event. I'm sure we'll talk to you sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Tony Parella, President and CEO SVRA. Thanks for coming. Stick around. All right, I have two guests. She said, I have two. Oh, jeez. No, Bill's up. He's just bringing you with him. No.
You'll see enough of him.
No, I don't want to see enough of him either.
See enough
I don't want to see enough of him. I know that, and I won't watch it. I've seen it. I'll throw up. These gentlemen, folks, this gentleman and his sidekick, for some unknown reason, Grant King took a liking to Bill. I don't know why, because I don't particularly like him, but Grant did, and spent a lot of his growing up time and learned a lot of things. Probably a lot of them his mother would have preferred he didn't learn. But he has, with his sidekick's assistance, put together about 50 hours of videos interviewing drivers, mechanics, people that liked Grant, people that loved Grant, and some people that weren't that all happy with him. We're going to get to see the tease for it tonight, but in the meantime, I want to talk about what prompted it, what made it happen, and what she's doing about it. Probably nothing. But please welcome the man at the Grant King shops. If you haven't been down here, you got to go down and see it, because I can assure you the times I was there, Grant King never saw that either. It wasn't that tidy. But they got some fabulous cars, great displays, and you get to talk to these two people. Please welcome Bill and Stephanie Throckmorton. So what did you do today? Did you show up on time today?
Yes, I did.
Oh, boy. Well, that's amazing. How'd that happen?
I don't know.
How did you end up spending so much time with Grant? Did your mother tell you to get out? I mean, why?
No, actually, Doris is my mom's sister, Grant's first wife. She ran a lot of the business end of the racing. And me and Grant ended up getting along better than me and Doris. And Grant pretty much through my younger years pretty much raised me, and I thought of him like a father. He taught me a lot of things that you had to learn in life and a lot of things you didn't really need to learn in life.
A lot of things.
A lot of things.
I was down there one day, and he was welding or something, and somebody called. Grant, you got a call. It's a good thing I could duck pretty quick, because that helmet comes sailing. What the hell? But when you got to know that, he was a good guy. He
was a great guy. He would give you the shirt off his back, but other times you'd think he was going to kill you.
Yeah.
You just didn't know which one you were going to get on which day.
But that's what made it fun.
All
right, not
it is
that fun.
now. Yeah, it is now.
Yeah, because he's not around to say, hey, don't do that.
Exactly.
And you're part of this. You posed for the videos. You were there, I know, fluffing, which is where I got Fluffy from. What did you think about this when he came with his idea?
I think that everybody that comes here tonight, they're staying for the video, they'll get the whole full meal deal, lack of a better word. But we're talking about the grassroots, and that's the reason why you sit here every Tuesday night and talk to racers every night, because there is a reason and a place for everything. And I get instructions.
Good.
However, it's a love of racing, and that's exactly why you come here every Tuesday night, and it's exactly why everybody comes here. As you will see in the documentary, the 15-minute teaser, John Martin's in it and other people, but it's something that is forgotten a little bit.
All right, let me go back to the question. When he came up with, I assume he came up with the idea, what did you think when he said, here's what I think we should do?
Well, he didn't even come up with the idea. He lived it. He lived it. As you see in the documentary, he lived it. And so what happened is people say, you have such a history here, and then we started, we had an individual that came in.
Don, actually, it was her idea, so that'll even make it tougher on you.
But it is...
All right, I'm going to go sit down here.
But it is a history of IndyCar racing, and it's not necessarily about Grant. It's about, and you'll see in the documentary here, of the pleasure of people here watching, it's about the fabricators, the shop workers, and you'll see it in the documentary. It is a history of things that happened and you lived through with people who are here tonight, like John Martin. There's other people in the video that they experienced it.
I always said to Grant, actually, once, that the greatest expression that comes out of racing is, if you're a racer, speed costs money, more speed costs more money. How fast do you want to go? Grant's problem was he never got enough money to go that fast. He had the idea how to build the cars, and his cars were competitive, but they weren't he didn't have the money he needed to take that next step. Fortunately, he had guys like John Martin who could do anything. He invites them in to drive a car, got a car for you, he gets in the shop, and it's a pile of parts that's laying on the floor. Thank God he knew how to build it.
Right, and that's what you'll see in the documentary. And this is just a 15-minute teaser. There's probably 15 more people that you won't even see in this teaser. But there was fantastic people around like John. A lot of skilled gentlemen, a lot of skilled ladies. It's something that the racers today really don't know or understand because it's so much different today. But back then, and you'll see it. I mean, and John told me he built 18 Offie motors just for the 3 cars to run just the 500s that year. I want to see you get Takuma to do that.
But the other thing was that Grant could build a Sprinter, and the King Sprinters were dynamite. They were very,
Yeah,
I mean, they were
the dirt
quick.
cars and the sprint
Yeah,
cars and
they
the
were- they
midgets.
were
I
good.
mean,
So he wasn't just another pretty face in the crowd.
well, that's for
actually got
sure.
When he got his hands dirty building cars, he got people to help him that knew what they were doing, so he could do his part and they'd do their part, and he'd go in his office and throw things.
Well, you know, I've got pictures hanging on the wall, and in several of the different pictures, you'll see Wally Muskowski, Jackie Howerton, Teddy Hall, some phenomenal people in racing, all working together in these pictures. And a lot of people don't even realize that ever happened. I mean, you go from Don Brown, Jerry Weeks, it's the who's who, Jackie Howerton. Everybody went through those doors.
And the doors are always open. If you wanted to come and ask a question, if you got him on the right day, most of the time,
Yeah, you wouldn't even
talk
get
to you.
anything thrown at you on the good days.
If you were lucky. What is your connection with racing, young lady? Fluffy?
That would be me. I tried racing, as Billy would say. I tried racing, but I found the love of racing through a gentleman that is now long deceased, is Charlie Scruggs. But that being said, it is a love of racing. But obviously, I've known Billy for 27, 28 years, and just belonging to the history, and it is belonging, because I didn't live it, but he lived it, and living it through his memories as people come to the shops. Just like Saturday, we did a charity run that McGilvery's Pub also participated in. We had almost 400 people come to the shop on Saturday, and what we have in our shop is we have bounds and bounds of memorabilia and history, and then you have someone who lived there since he has been age 4. And actually in my office,
I'm ignoring that.
my office, we have Billy's first uniform, racing uniform, made by Hinchman by Grant King, who, by the way, made a specific request because they didn't do kids' uniforms. We have his 4-year-old uniform hanging in my office. So I vicariously lived through the memorabilia, the memories, as Billy has these 400 people coming through on Saturday, as he says this, and this, and I can't even repeat it. I've heard it so many times, but I cannot repeat it because he lived it, but he wants to pass that history along as far as how it comes from. And you'll see in the piece that's coming up how that works in the essence of how it's different from today as it is tomorrow as my hands move. And he talks to me about moving my hands when I talk.
As long as you don't hit me, I don't care. I want to mention that this coming Friday and Saturday, December 8th and 9th, the Grant King Shops and Throckmorton Racing is having a catered dinner down at their shop. It's being catered by McGilvery's, and they do a fabulous job. And it'll include a personal tour of the shop, horses, duvers, and beer. Beer?
Just a little.
Is it cold?
Oh, it better be. Dooman's going to have to come down and pay
I
for
see.
all of it.
Good luck on that one.
That's what we find out.
I heard a squeak is coming. I went, what in the world is that? It was him. It was him walking in here. But it's this Friday and Saturday. It starts at 6 until 8 o'clock. It's $25 a person. You get all the beer you can drink if you hurry.
Yes, and it'll also, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people. When I was sitting here, I was just contacted by Gary Ballou and a few people from the East Coast that drove a lot of Grant's heavy modifieds out east. You really don't know who's going to show up there or not, and I think we're going to try to con John into giving personal tours around 1 or 2 nights there, and that's been a
Since you're only
blast.
there 2 nights, it couldn't be much more than that, could it?
Well, you know what? John was there Saturday, and these were just hot rod people, and they flocked to him. They loved listening to John. And
Oh,
his
I know.
stories.
I've had him
It's
here
good.
several times.
Very
People say,
good.
wow, did he do that? No, he made it up on the spot. He's that good. And if
Well, it
who
didn't
knows,
matter if he
might not
made
be
it
able
up
to-
or not. They liked it.
He might not be available if he's building engines. He might be too busy.
Well, if Dooman would get off his keister,
that's right.
John would probably be building a couple offies. And Dooman, we pulled out all the bearings the other day and got everything set up. We're
All right.
waiting on you.
This thing, Friday and Saturday. If you want to come in, you can email them your request. The email address is grantkingshops with an S at gmail.com. That's grantkingshops@email.com, or give them a call, or gmail.com, or give them a call. The number's 317-820-39 or 3595. You'll probably get Fluffy, and she'll say, "What? What are you doing?" But you can let them know you're coming. The food will be good. The tours will be good. The shop, I'm telling you, you go down here and say, wow, some of the cars they got is phenomenal. The pictures on the wall, it's really it's worthwhile, and you'll have a good time. And if you have any luck, Stephanie will be there. You can chat with her. I guess that's luck. I don't know.
I don't.
Oh, look at your 2 fans are clapping. Oh, never mind. That's Cindy. She's going to be there to help you. That could be trouble. Oh boy.
Oh, it'll be fun anyway, right?
I so hope so. That's Friday and Saturday. Talk to them while they're here tonight. Stick around and watch the video. You're going to be impressed. I've seen it. It's really quite good. And of course, there's a real stud muffin that starts it out. So that's the important part. Watch the first part. That's what you got to see.
Are you talking about your?
But I've,
No, please, if you are here tonight, please stick around and watch it, and feel free to walk by and tell us what you think. I mean, we can. You're not going to hurt our feelings, so be straightforward and let us know, please.
But just remember, the start of it's the best part of the whole thing. So just keep that in mind. I want to thank them for being here. Stick around. You're going to see a video. It's only 15 minutes, so if you got to go home and go to bed, you can stay awake 15 more minutes. But I want to thank Bill and Stephanie for taking the time to be here. And I was down there a number of times watching them do interviews. They went into great detail, and there's some it's not in here, but there's some that are really spectacular. And you look at that and you say, wow. It'll be out eventually, and I'm hoping that at some point they'll have DVD so you can buy a copy and take it home and watch it. It's well worth it. Bill and Stephanie, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Stick around. We're going to watch the video in a minute. I want to remind you that next week is going to be Author Week. We're going to have Dave Argerbright, who is a reporter for MAV TV and, of course, has written some spectacular books, and Linda Mansfield will be here with her books, and they are good. They're going to bring some. If you're looking for something, you want to give somebody who wants a book, her books are fabulous. You can read a chapter in a matter of 20, 30 minutes. It took me an hour and a half. But somebody can read as much quicker, and they're very interesting. So stay with us next week. And again, check autosportradio.com. Pick up the tab where it says Autosport Shows and see who my other guests will be. Look forward to you next week. For Autosport, thank everybody for being here watching. Stick around and watch the video. We'll see you next week. Don Kay saying good night. Thanks for being here. See you then. Remember, I said there's some vintage racing quarterly magazines. I see somebody wants something for nothing. He's always the first one. Take 2. Give Howdy one because he can't make it this far. Come on up and help yourself.
got the cool stuff.
When did you learn how to read?
I don't. She reads it to me.
There's pictures in there, so you're all right. They're both the same, Howdy. Turn that one over.
Well, I'll be darned. You're so creative.
Yes.
Tony, remarkable. I just told. I said, I wish I had more of your ability when I was running rangers.
Should have called him.
How are you? I'm well. How are you? Good to see you. I thought of you not too long ago. I thought, that's nice. I haven't seen him in. Oh, it'll be fun. You haven't been here? Yeah.
Yeah, he's out of the old people's home now, John, so you can see him every once in a while.
You didn't have to say hello to me. That was
Of course
really
I did. I
nice.
appreciate you being here.
How are
I
you,
haven't
Mr.
seen
K?
you in a long time. I'm not Mr. I'm Don.
Yeah, I still
So
stick
how,
to
no,
Mr.
no,
Ray.
no. I'm old, but not that old.
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I see. I don't see your Facebook stuff as often as I used to.
Yeah, I've kind of cut back
Well,
on
are
a
these
little
guys
bit.
keeping you busy? I can talk to somebody. So how you doing? Everything good?
Back in the day, it seems like most of the people that became somebody at least worked here or started here.
Turn the volume up. Well, never mind.
A lot of famous race cars came through this place. There were a lot of
Eldon
famous
was
race
one.
cars.
Get one for Eldon.
Eldon who?
Rasmus.
Oh, he doesn't
Can you
count.
kill the microphones?
Yeah.
Feedback.